Hi, I'm Greg from Second Thoughts East Yorkshire. Today I want to talk to you about practicing forgiveness. Have you ever struggled to forgive someone who's done something that's hurt you in the past? It could be in a relationship, maybe something that happened to you as a child. Maybe you were bullied or had a tough upbringing for any number of reasons. It may even be that someone didn't do something that they should have done. Forgiving someone when you've been hurt by them can be the most difficult thing to do. Forgiveness is a conscious decision to let go of the anger and resentment you feel towards a person who's hurt you. I'll call that person the Scorpion for now. I'll explain why a little later. Before I go on, I'd like you to hold something light in the air. Something like this pencil maybe a pen, a hairbrush, maybe your mobile phone. Just hold it up here like I'm doing here. Yeah, okay? It's no problem at all, is it? As we talk, think of this pencil as being your anger and resentment. Just keep holding the pencil or your phone or whatever it may be that you have in the air. Just keep holding it up. So forgiveness doesn't mean that you have to forget whatever the Scorpion did to you. Remember, I'm calling the offender the Scorpion for the moment. Instead, it means acknowledging it, but making a conscious decision to let go of the pain. When forgiving someone, it doesn't necessarily mean restoring a relationship with them or taking things back to how they were before. It could include that, but very importantly, it doesn't have to. For example, you may be able to forgive a friend who said horrible things to you, but to try and carry on as though nothing has ever happened. Forgiveness might take time, particularly if the Scorpion did something really serious. When causing someone serious harm, either deliberately or, to be honest, even accidentally, true forgiveness can be challenging. Importantly, though, without forgiveness, we're trapped in the past, never moving forward. Author Lewis Smedes said, "To forgive is to set a prisoner free, and then discover that the prisoner was you." To go on not forgiving someone means you were carrying that load, that burden that becomes heavier and heavier, maybe for years and years. Many people have misconceptions about what forgiveness really means and hate the thought of even trying to forgive. Others may want to forgive, but wonder whether or not they can do it. Forgiveness isn't easy to do, but it's possible if we have the right frame of mind and we need the right tools and are willing to put in the effort to do it. How are you managing holding this object up? Still okay? Or is your arm starting to ache a little? Forgiveness isn't about finding excuses for the Scorpion's behaviour or pretending it didn't happen. Ultimately, forgiving someone is an act we do for us, not for the Scorpion. But it's well worth the effort. Working on forgiveness can help us increase our self-esteem and give us a sense of inner strength and safety. You take the moral high ground and you regain control. Before you do forgive someone, it's important to really analyse who has hurt you and how. This may be obvious, but sometimes it isn't clear-cut. Not every action that causes you suffering is unjust. For example, someone may trap your finger in a door as they close it. It isn't an act intending to cause harm, but the pain's still the same, isn't it? Think about your family, school class members, playmates as a child, friends, peers, work colleagues, and think if they've ever hurt you. Perhaps they've abused their power, maybe they've neglected you, or maybe they've actually physically harmed you. Acknowledge to yourself what wrongs were done to you. Don't ever forget that. Don't ignore that. Doing this will give you an idea of who needs forgiveness in your life and provides a starting point. You may be able to do this by yourself, but depending on what wrongs were done to you and the severity of them, you may need the help and support of a therapist. Just please make sure that if you do look back, you do it in an environment that feels safe and supportive. Now for a little science. Scientists using EEGs, they're electroencephalograms. It's not easy to say, but it's a bit like the brain version of an ECG. They've researched what happens in the brain when we think about forgiving people. And they discovered that when people successfully imagine forgiving someone in a hypothetical situation, they show increased activity in the neural circuits responsible for empathy. I'm just going to stop for one moment, step to one side and tell you a short story. It's one of Aesop's fables about a frog and a scorpion, and it'll explain why I call the offenders, the people who hurt you, the scorpion. A scorpion, which is unable to swim, asks a frog to carry it across a river on the frog's back. The frog hesitates, afraid of being stung by the scorpion, but the scorpion argues that if it did that, they'd both drown. The frog considers the argument sensible, and then he agrees to transport the scorpion across the river. Midway across the river, the scorpion stings the frog anyway, dooming them both. And as the frog's dying and they're both going under, he says to the scorpion, "Why did you sting me, knowing the consequence?" And the scorpion replied, "Can't help it, I'm a scorpion." It isn't an excuse for the scorpion or for what the scorpion did, nor does it undo what happened, but what it does do is to give you the empathy, the insight into a scorpion just being a scorpion. And that's why I call the offender the scorpion. They may not even mean to hurt or damage or abuse, but that's what they do. Empathy is putting yourself in the other person's shoes. In essence, it tells us that empathy is connected to forgiveness and is an important step in the process of forgiveness. If you look at the life of the person who harmed you, sometimes you can see what baggage they're carrying and start to develop empathy for them. It's difficult to do, but instead of viewing them as a monster, picture the scorpion, picture the offender as a weak, innocent child needing love and support. Research has shown that if a child doesn't receive attention and love from the parents or the parent figures, then they'll have a weak attachment, and that can damage trust. They grow up seeing the situation as a normal dynamic, so two people are either scorpion and victim, or victim and scorpion. There's no other type of relationship as far as they're concerned. A person may be either, but an equal partnership is never an option for them. It doesn't excuse what they've done to you, but it can help you to understand a little more about how they've turned out. You may know the whole story about the scorpion, or piece something together from the bits you do know, but you may see the scorpion in a new light. You may recognise them as a weak, vulnerable person who was wounded and wounded you in return. Despite what they may have done to hurt you, you may realise that they didn't deserve to suffer either. Recognising that we all carry wounds in our hearts can help open the door to forgiveness. How are you managing holding that object up? I bet your arm's aching more now. Mine is. Finding some meaning in your suffering can help you to move forwards, to forgive the scorpion or scorpions. Some people begin to think about how they can use their suffering to cope because they become more resilient through it or braver. Remember the old saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. To find some meaning isn't to diminish your pain or to justify it. You still need to recognise the injustice and hurt that's been done to you. Otherwise, forgiveness will be shallow. Still, there are many ways to find meaning in our suffering. Some people appreciate the world and some people appreciate others around them when the hurt stopped. Others use their experiences to help others who are in the position of newly being hurt by others. Some may find meaning by talking about what they've gone through and using their experiences to shine light in dark places and highlight problem areas. A bit like being a whistleblower, really. In addition, there are many benefits to practicing forgiveness. By releasing yourself from hurt, bitterness, and other negative feelings, you can feel more at peace as you move on. And other benefits of forgiving include improved mental health through reduced anxiety, stress, and hostility, fewer symptoms of depression, improved self-esteem, and healthier relationships. And also improved physical health through low blood pressure, a stronger immune system, and improved heart health. Remember that without forgiveness, we're trapped in the past, we're in limbo, never moving forward. It's like holding this pencil up in the air. Bet your arm is really aching now, isn't it? Mine is. It's time to put the object down. When you do, feel the tension leave your arm and body when you let go of it. It's the same with anger and frustration about how you have been wronged. Forgiveness is for you, it's not for the other person. Say goodbye to the pencil and let the scorpion carry on being a scorpion. Just let it go on. Do it for you though. Do it for yourself, not for them. Finally, I just want to mention how important it is to forgive yourself if you've done something that you regret. A lot of us are even harder on ourselves than we are on other people, and we struggle to like ourselves. If you're not feeling lovable or even likable because of actions you've taken, you may need to do a little work on self-forgiveness. This is fundamentally looking at whatever's happened to you which has caused anger, maybe shame or self-loathing, and offer to yourself what you offer to others who have hurt you. It's a recognition of your good points despite your actions. Through self-forgiveness, you respect yourself as a person with good points as well as flaws, even if you are imperfect. If you let yourself down in a significant way, self-loathing can kick in. When it happens, you may punish yourself either consciously or subconsciously. You may indulge in alcohol, drugs, smoke if you previously stopped, or binge on spending, or maybe even sex. It's best to acknowledge that this may happen and make the effort to forgive yourself. You are human. You have warts and all. After you've managed to overcome the hurdle of forgiving yourself, you'll also have to think about asking forgiveness from others whom you've harmed and correct the things, the wrongs that you've caused, the things that you've done poorly. The other person may not be ready to forgive you, so try and be patient with them. You'll realise that forgiving you is a challenge, as it was to forgive yourself. So mean it and give them time. Giving a sincere apology, a heartfelt apology, really meaning it, is the best way forward. Giving forgiveness to your others or to yourself is a massive relief, the same as putting that object down a few minutes ago. Thank you for watching the video. I'll be back with more soon. In the meantime, stay safe, take care, and good mental health. Bye.